Hello everyone. Today I'm going to do some repairs on the paint and some paint correction and wet sanding and polishing on my 1981 Malibu, which was painted um, maybe 2 years ago. It's hard to say, time passes very fast. I've had to do some paint repairs on it along the way, and I've had to do some corrections and fixing a few things. I have more of them to do, so I'm going to do that and uh, flatten the car out and straighten it, and I'll show you what that's all about. So if you joined in on my other video, I've changed this B pillar. I ended up having to do some paint work here. I'm blowing in some paint work and some clear and some polish, and it turned out okay. I've got to do a bit more work in that area, so I am going to sand that back down. I also have, if you can look and see, so that is where I've sanded and polished. You can see it's very flat and reflective. If you just move back a little bit to where I haven't done yet, now it is a little dirty, but you can see it's just a little hazier, a little bumpier. It's not quite as flat. It's got a little bit of peel to it. Then if you move towards where I've done already, there's no peel here. It's all flat. And then once again, I'll carry on to the door. Like I said, it's dirty, but you can see that there's a bit of a texture in the reflection. All right, so to give a disclaimer, I am not a master detailer. I am not a master at anything. I am just a guy working on my car. This is an 81 Malibu. It's painted in 2010 Kinetic Blue. I believe it's 2010. It's been painted for probably going on 2 years now. So the clear is hardened quite a bit from where it was, but it hasn't been subjected to any weather or anything because it's been a project for a while. So if you check out my other videos, you'll see where I LS swapped this car. I'm very close now. I've just got the interior left to do. Pretty well is the big outstanding thing, and then this paint correction. So this is the car. One thing that I'm not going to do this time that I am going to have to do later is these bumper fillers. Because I've pushed the car around a little bit, I've managed to crack that paint front and rear, and therefore caused it to chip and crack and stuff. So I'm also changing these bumpers at some point. So when I change the bumpers, I'll pull these fillers off, I'll lay them out on the bench, and I'll paint them and match them. That'll be fine. The one thing I do have a little issue with on this car is this happens sometimes when you go to body shops. They don't quite get enough paint underneath. So there's not really, if you look at the bottom lip there, all in this area, it's not near enough paint. So I'm going to mask that off and I'm going to blow that in. It's the same on both sides. So I have to do that. And then, like I said, I have to flatten and polish the entire car, which is a lot of work, and but it's very rewarding because you take it from something with some texture and some haze to something that's pretty clear and reflective. You can see me there. I've done this process on a couple of cars, nothing of my own actually, which is interesting. Nothing that I have now anyway. The thing with this is you're trying to flatten it by taking it down. Like I'm going to take this car probably down to 800 grit wet, and then I'm going to take it back up to 2000 grit wet, and then I'm going to go over it with 3000 Trizac on an orbital sander. And then I use the Presta system with a rotary polisher. I use their two-step process. You use step 1 with a wool pad, and step 2 is using a foam pad. There's a bunch of different ways to do this. There's a lot of guys are using orbital polishers now, and I think that's probably a better way, a more modern system than what I'm doing. But I still have some of this product, and I still have the polisher, the rotary polisher and stuff from some previous jobs. So that's what I'm going to use on this car. It's not going to completely fix a bad paint job by any means, but it certainly makes an average paint job or an average to good paint job look better, a lot better. I just need to bring a little bit more life to it. And I can do that. Just a little bit of time and some product and the cost of some sanding materials, some abrasives, and you can really make a big difference on the depth and quality of the paint job. There's all kinds of videos on YouTube that I've watched. Ammo NYC is a good one. Larry, he's a wealth of knowledge. I could watch his videos all day long. So I've learned a lot from him. What I have learned is that the reflection is really what you're after, like the clarity of the reflection. So if you're looking at like outlines of a light that's shining in it or something like that, you don't want haze around it. Let me show you what I mean. As I cut that, by cut I mean use abrasives, and bring that down and then compound it back up with compound, that will flatten out that texture and will improve the clarity of the reflection. And where you see like this light over here is not a perfect silhouette or a perfect reflection of that light, it's kind of like a hazy shape. That will become more clear as I wet sand and polish, and you will be able to see like a more of a reflection, like a mirror-like reflection. Another thing that I've learned very recently is that if you are in shop lights, you are going to see a lot more than you would actually see out the sunlight, which I thought would be opposite. But what I've found is I can see the spots that I've blown in or fixed with the paint. They're getting better because I'm still working them. But the spots that I can see during the day when it's sun shining in the shop through the windows, I can walk around it, I can look at it any different angle, and I can't see the color difference. But then, like at night, when it's dark and there's no natural light coming in, I'm just relying on the lights from the shop. And then say like I'm down on my mat doing sit-ups or something, I can look up at the car and I can see the spot that I fixed. It drives me nuts. So I'm going to correct that today. But a big part of it is the lighting. And my body shop friend that painted this car, the one thing advice that he gave me is he said put it outside and invite some people over. He said have some people walk around it and see if they see anything, because if they can't see anything, then you're not going to see it. But I see a couple of things, but I think as I correct today, I should be able to clear some of that up. So I've got the spots that I had to do down here around the whole car. I got that all blown in with some paint and some clear on it. And now I'm at the point where I'm going to start flattening out the whole car. I think I've got all the paint correction, if you want to call it that, issues sorted. I've done all the stuff where I'm going to have to apply paint. I've got them sort of sorted out. Now I'm at where I'm actually going to start cutting and polishing the car. As mentioned, I'm no expert. I'm only doing what I've done before and has worked. So take that for what it's worth. There's lots of good sources out there for information from real professionals that actually do this for a living. I'm just trying to look after my own cars. So, one thing to know, this is not a quick job. You need to be in the right mindset. You need to be calm, relaxed, not in a rush, because this is going to take a long time. It's a couple of different stages. There's a couple of different things I do. People will disagree. That's fine. This is what I do that works. You need some good lighting. I got this side of my shop isn't the best lit. The other side is better, but I have some spotlights that I'm shining on the car, so you can see different things. I've got this Milwaukee light Kyle bought me. That should be helpful. The first thing this is the middle of winter. I can't wheel the car outside and wash it, unfortunately. So I'm limited to spray wash. So I use the Presta stuff. This Presta stuff, I spray and wash it. And then after that, I go over it with a wax and grease remover, a light wax and grease remover. That just takes off. If there's any silicone in this, it's not going to get into anything. So I just, I'm just going to work on this section of the quarter panel for now. I'm going to do a little bit at a time. I've got a wet cloth and dry cloth. was my wet cloth. Now all this is doing is taking the shop dust off of it. Part of this has already been cut when I was repairing the front part there of the quarter panel. This hasn't been. This is original to the paint. This paint job, as mentioned, this paint job is probably almost 2 years old. So I am going to be a little more aggressive than this with this than you would do with fresh paint. I'm going to start off with 800 wet and use that. If this was fresh clear, you probably, depending on the level of peel, of orange peel texture, whatever you want to call it, depending on that and the result you want to get, would depend on what you use for your initial cut. Then I take some of this. This is wax and grease remover. It's the mild stuff. It's used to be called Final Wipe Solvent, and I kind of liked, I guess I just like that name better than a wax and grease remover. But it's the same part number. They just changed the name on it, this particular brand. So I just put some of that on there, get it all over my floor. A little bit goes a long way. I didn't need to put near that much on. I'm just doing a wipe. The nice thing about this stuff, I'll show you after, is that when you have it sanded, this is great for bodywork as well. When you have it sanded, you can wipe this on it and it gives you a gloss for a minute. That'll show you, like if you're doing body work, it'll show you your highs and lows. It'll show you any sanding marks. It'll show you any imperfections. So I use it a lot for different things. I'm going to let this dry, sit for a bit, and then I'm going to hit it with 800 wet. Now what I do is I have a bucket with warm water in it. My sandpaper's been in here for a couple hours. I use a sanding block. I wrap the paper around a sanding block. I just use a small Durablock. And the reason for that is if you wrap it around your fingers, you're going to put indents, finger-shaped indents and grooves in the panel. Probably not at this point because this thing's been, the clear's pretty hard now. But if it was fresh, you would definitely put some dents or dips in the clear. So I try and use this as much as possible. I also try to go on an angle, like as if you were doing body work, because if you go straight like that, you're more likely to see it than if you go on an angle. And I spray on, I've got a spray bottle with warm water in it. I'm just using warm water because it's winter time and I don't want my hands to be cold. And I spray water on there, use my sandpaper, and like I said, I'm going to cut this with 800 to start, and then carry on and work my way up to 2000, and then eventually I will hit it with my orbital sander and Trizac, which is 3000 grit. When sanding this, don't worry about getting the edges. If you get close enough to the edges, you're going to get them anyways, so don't focus on the edges because that's only going to cause you potential of going through your clear coat. This car has a lot of clear on it, so I'm pretty safe. You kind of want to know what you're starting with. You can buy paint meters, paint clear meters that tell you the depth. That's a good spot to start. I don't have one of those, but I do know this car has a pile of clear on it because I pay for that. So I'll get started. Okay, so this is a quick shot of that 800 wet. As you can see, the panel's gone hazy. That's okay. Don't freak out. You can see what I was talking about, but don't worry about getting to the edges because this kind of blends into them anyways. You're gonna get them no matter what. I still have a little bit more to do up here by the look of it. So what I did to get this look, because when it was wet, you can't see it. So I used this wax and grease remover stuff. And if you just wipe it on there, like I said, you get a quick gloss. It takes off all the residue, it takes off all the crap, and then it quickly flashes to show what it really looks like, to show the haze. So you can get a quick gloss look to see what it's going to look like. And if there's any imperfection, if there's sanding marks, if there's gouges or I don't know, whatever, like little dirt nibs or anything like that, you'll see it as soon as you wipe this stuff on. And then you can see that you just wipe it and you just let it sit. And you can see it's starting to flash now. It'll flash and it'll take it back to that hazy look. And then you can see pretty clearly where you've sanded and where you haven't. So you can see that I've sanded here and I haven't got enough here. I just did a quick little scuffy business here, but I haven't got it all. So I got to spend some more time on that area. Just gives you an idea of where you're at. You can see it's almost all flashed over now. And what you're looking for is you're looking for the little texture, the tennis ball-like or orange peel-like texture to go away, to flatten. You're looking for the gloss, to not see the gloss below this flat haze, because you're going to polish this back up later anyways. So you can see it's flashed over now. So that's where I'm at. I got to hit this with a little bit more 800, and then it's time to move on to the next grit of sandpaper and work my way towards 2000. You can see here I didn't get anything. Once again, I'm being careful of the edges. So they're gonna get. I didn't even try to get this edge, and it's got some here anyway. Okay, so I have a uniform sort of flatness throughout the whole panel. No shine really, it's just kind of uniform. So what you saw me do there was, I don't know, I might have skipped over it, but different grades of sandpaper up to 2000 grit by hand. And then I used the 3M Trizac 3000 on my orbital sander with an interface pad. I use a foam interface pad. That's why you saw me getting the edges and stuff, because that foam pad will move. Still gotta be freaking careful, because you can burn through in a hurry. And I gotta watch to make sure that I don't burn through any of the edges. You can get yourself into a lot of trouble. So I have a two-step compound that I use. It's Vipresta. So step one. This is the max cut compound stuff. So that takes a gray wool pad with my rotary Makita. And you can do this any way you want. You can do the whole car in 1000 grit, 800 grit, whatever. And then come back and do the whole car again, 1500. The whole car again in 2000. I'm doing a panel at a time here for a couple of reasons. One, to show you guys what I'm doing on this quarter panel to start. The other thing is I got to see some results as I go, or I get I guess I get overwhelmed, or I get worried that it's not going to polish up. So you want to see that what you're doing is right. So I do a panel at a time. You pick your spots where you're stopping and stuff. So this says I want to have it between 1400 and 2200 RPM. So I think I set it around 1800. Recommended buffing speed is 1800 with wool pad. There you go. I prime the pad a bit. I put a bit on the pad. That's a lot, actually. You don't want the pad being dry when you start. Like I said, I'm no expert, but it's worked for me. And then I put some on the car and smear it around with the pad and go at it. There you go. There you go. You can see I've got shine now. It's a little wet, but you can see I've got shine. That first compound, that's 2 rounds of this first step. And I've got shine again. My second step is the actual finishing polish, and that's what I'm going to do next. You probably noticed me spraying the Presta, this Presta Spray and Shine on the pad and on the car. That's because under no circumstance do I want this to be dry. If it's dry, you are going to burn through, and that's not fun. Very careful around your edges. You are working with a high-speed polisher. The random orbital polishers, the new style that are out, are probably a lot more user-friendly. This thing will gladly take paint off. So you have to be very careful. Yeah, so I'm going to do this, and with this one takes a gray foam pad, So I'm going to put this on my polisher, and it's the same thing. You put drops on here, spread it around, prime the pad, polish it. All right, so this is, I guess, the finished result for this quarter panel. This is hit with stage 1, stage 2, and then followed up with just a quick spray and shine, and then a wipe with a microfiber cloth. Now, the thing is, you're supposed to put fast wax on this after, but I'm not going to do that yet when I still have the whole rest of the car to do. I just wanted to show you guys where I'm at. So you can see the metallic is popping a lot more than it did. The reflection is clear. You can see that the outline around the light and around my window and all that stuff is very clear, and you can see it's a very straight mirror-like reflection, and it's not hazy and textured and all that kind of crap. There's no swirl or sanding marks. It looks pretty good, you know, when you compare to say the door is dirty, but I'll show you the door. You can see it's not as crisp of a reflection, and it's kind of hazy. It's like got a texture to it. There's no texture to that, and I'm happy you can't see my paintwork that I did, so that's plus. It's coming along good. Now I just have like you know, the rest of the car to do. And obviously it makes a giant mess everywhere. So you end up doing like a full detail on the car later. But this is a good time to do it when it's still a project and obviously not fully assembled. So there you have it. That's in a nutshell how I'm going to cut and polish the whole car. I've got a lot of work to do. I'm not going to try and put it all in one video. I might check in with you later on it. Do an update, see how it turned out, show you the whole car when it's done. But I just wanted to show you the process. I've had a few people asking about what I'm doing with it. So that's that. I took the wheels off. I'm going to sell the wheels that were on it. I have some other rally wheels that I'm sending out to get sandblasted and powder coated. They're 15x8 in the rear, so they're get a little bigger tire on the back. I'm in trouble finding tires right now, though. Tires are kind of hard to get with the current circumstance. So I'm going to keep on working on this car. Thanks for watching. Check out my other videos. Check out my other videos on this project and on, you know, all this other crap that's around here. And stay safe, stay happy, work on your junk. Don't be afraid to screw it up, because generally you can fix it. It's not a problem. Try not to burn through your paint. That will suck. Hopefully I don't do that. All right, take care. Stay safe.